What's up, players? You're watching Starcraft 2 from the POV of Collective in this case. And now we have a PvP match on this one map that is rather dark and is seems to be in quite metropolis setting. Now there are a lot of buildings in the background here, and there appears to be these blue spiky things that are coming out of the ground. Now it looks like these blue things are going to try to attack this little building that's right in the middle there, but it looks like red is seemingly attacking this, and what these probes appear to be doing is gathering it and then throwing it into their base. Maybe they can use it for some research purposes, so that way they can anticipate, further attacks from these blue crystals and such. But joining the army actually is this little gastral chamber, it looks like. Now this is something that we haven't seen for a long time in Modern Warfare. Now this could be really interesting, but we're gonna have to see how this plays out. And it looks like something is actually happening to his nexus here, and units are pumping out a little bit faster than normal, which is weird. Now we're gonna go look at this sad face, this little sad face right here in blue, or in the middle of the map rather, because we have the two eyes in the middle of the map, and then we have a sad face right here. Now these crystals are popping up everywhere on the map, so maybe this is strategically planned against both blue and red. So I'm not sure what kind of action we can be expecting here, but it definitely looks like there is a forge that is being built off by blue. Now this could be an interesting build, because I have no idea what his plan could be. Anticipating an action like this could be something that's highly effective for everybody, But unless red and blue are going to be able to try to coordinate an attack against all these crystals and gas chambers, things could be going at a very slow start here. So it looks like he's building, he's building a gateway, and it looks like he's about to have a second one on the way. Now what that means for blue, I don't know, because while blue or red is busy, actually fighting units, or building units, we have blue over here, just slapping dick and trying to, upgrade his that don't even exist yet. So he's got a couple of pylons in the way, which is really good, because the pylons, you don't want to necessarily have them blocking the way, right? They need to stop road hazards in this case, and the pylons for blue are doing a great job, because if red is coming with a couple of guys and he's trying to come at him, bro, you gotta have the pylons in the way, because it's safety first here in the world of Starcraft 2. And it actually looks like blue is dropping down his first gateway. This is he's at 18 supply in, and both of them seem to be on par, but blue is also trying to combat this assimilator, or this gastral chamber, which is a very smart tactic, because working out in a gaseous environment is not necessarily going to be the best move, but having this photon cannon built in is a really smart tactic, because not only does it give you an offensive option, it also gives you defensive as well. And so he is just relentlessly attacking those blue crystals, but they do not seem to be affected at all. It looks like these guys definitely have seen some magical armor, but their health is like 1270, and these probes, they only do 5 damage, so they could be sitting here for a very, very long time. And now let's just look around here on the map. Now we have Rob's Guns here. Now Rob's Guns is it's a beautiful store. I know Rob personally. He's a very nice gentleman. He doesn't do anything to hurt anybody. He has a wife and kids. Michelle is the wife's name, and they have 2 sons, Jake and Thomas. And now Tom, little Tommy there, he spends a lot of his time. I lost it. He spends a lot of his time playing baseball. He runs around. He bats. Not always for the wrong team necessarily, but he does what he can. He does what he can. And now Jake, the other boy, he doesn't do much. He exists, but he's 15. So he's starting to learn to drive and stuff. And these will be the very roads outside his father's shop that he will learn to drive. And now just down the road here, we have a cafe that his wife Michelle works at. And there was also a BJ's Clam Shack. Now, that can easily be interpreted for a whorehouse, and that is definitely the way I took it. No pun intended. Alright, so now it looks like there are 4 guys with swords, and they are going to be running around terrorizing the cafe. The citizens are trying to flee, but we're not going to be able to see how this is going to turn out. This is a very bold strategy on Kelt's part, because he is advancing to a situation that he doesn't even necessarily know what's going to be going on for sure. So they're running right by that wolf statue, and that wolf did nothing. He did nothing. But anyway, Red Swordsman, the Knights of are new. You know, they're going to be continuously running around and such. And they keep just running by these statues, you know. And now they're just hanging out in the street, stopping, gathering the scenery, you know, that sort of thing. It's a good strategy. Very bold, very bold. It's Kelt definitely seems to be placing his units all together, which is great because you want to have everyone clumped up together so they can always just spread the splash damage equally amongst themselves, you know. And it's as you learn in elementary school, you know, you want to share. You don't want to be a greedy asshole. But looks like Red might be helping out Blue here and trying to attack his crystals, which is very good. It's very good. Teamwork and collaboration is very important, especially in a 1v1 setting. And now Blue looks like he has this little engine thing, and it's spinning. You know, it's spinning, that's for sure. And it is learning the warp gate technology. Now, I guess the question you can start to ask yourself is what necessarily is going to be happening, and what does that mean for Blue? Well, the answer to that question, Tom, is quite simple. You know, units will be made in. They will be warped in. They will be materialized from thin air, which is quite phenomenal. But the air supply, does that necessarily lower it for everyone else? Because it appears that Blue, you know, he doesn't really anticipate a whole lot of actions coming from Red, which is perfect because it looks like Red is actually going to be coming in right now and trying to attack his base, but that photon cannon is actually attacking his own. Blue is going insane. He is attacking his own like allies' units. This is insane. I thought the war was against the crystals, not against each other, but you know, they're trying to force field each other in at this point, and now they're just attacking the pylons, which is not a good thing because you want to have those pylons so that way you don't have an anticipated rush like this, especially against a hazardous area. You need to know which areas are good and which areas are bad, especially when trying to defend, you know, against such road hazards such as slippery conditions. But it looks like Red is still continuing to send units to try to come and ally or try to attack his allies, but I don't understand necessarily what is happening. But this whole stalker situation, these guys are just popping in out of thin air with these warp gates and stuff like that. They definitely, you know, they're doing their job. They are doing their job. And in this probe here, Tom, you know, I don't know what he's doing, but he's building stuff, which is really good. He's throwing up pylons and stuff, and he's just concerned about everyone's safety, which is really good because, you know, chivalry, that shit is dead nowadays, you know. You absolutely need it, and no one else seems to really care for it anymore. And in this probe, this good guy probe over here, you know, he's just doing his job to uphold the standards in society. So, and this Nexus, you know, it's just doing its thing. And there's a really ill-placed photon cannon right here. And I don't understand what that's doing, but, you know, it's just hanging out. Maybe it's just watching. You know, it's just grabbing a Corona on the beach and, you know, it's just anticipating. But it looks like Blue is actually going to be trying to push out here. You know, this is only 9 minutes into the match, and I don't understand what quite he's thinking about doing, attacking his allies and stuff, when he has a lot of probes that are trying to attack those crystals still, and those gas chambers, which they seem to have confined really well. So those gas chambers cannot come out and attack anybody anymore. And it looks like they're actually ripping out the very guts of that gas. But, well, you know, all is fair in love and war, as they say, right? So maybe this is what he's doing. To each his own, right? I am not a strategist for a war. I am just simply a commentator. But it looks like Blue is just slapping dick, and he's just hanging out around in his base. He is not quite doing much of anything, which I really don't think is a good strategy at this point, because, you know, if he started to actually think about this logically, he could go ahead and easily attack this frowny face or but he's not gonna do it, and I really think that he should be doing that for sure. But let's see how red is holding up in his war against the minerals right now. He seems to have a few of those stalkers, much as I do myself, and it's not quite as fun. It's not a really good feeling, but it looks like blue is actually way far ahead in terms of the production, because not only does he have 4 warp gates, forge, and photon cannons to be able to support his base, but he does have queued up units, which is definitely a Bronze League mistake. And the warp gate technology just finished, so he should for sure be able to start to kick up that production, and possibly even expand if he starts to play his cards right. But in terms of unit production, probes, he's just, red is really slapping the dick on this one, and it looks like he's grabbing a dark shrine. Now, that I'm not sure if this is necessarily a cult of Satanism, but if that happens to be the case, then I do not approve of this message. But I will continue to commentate, because that is a sport of the game, and it looks like red is actually starting to copy blue's ingenious idea of having photon cannons everywhere, right? And so now blue is actually starting to expand, which is pretty smart, because when you have this many crystals trying to attack your nexus, you really need to keep pumping up those units and stuff, and you definitely cannot have anyone cutting behind. It's like the elementary school grading scheme, no student left behind, every man counts, especially in a war this great and this dire. And this has been going on for a long time, and Blizzard Entertainment has been doing its best to, come up and try to recruit the best soldiers and strategists to be able to come across a solution for this war against the minerals in the gas chamber. Because look at that. That is a huge negative impact on the world surrounding them. So, and that is going to be putting up shop owners such as Rob here, Rob and his family. That's not going to be good. Not going to be good whatsoever for his family. So there are actually 2 cafes I just want to point out along this little road strip, which is, it's good. It's a good strategy. Maybe it's even connected to Rob's guns, and maybe he's like a 2-time owner. He's like half cafe, half guns. So while you're getting a Joe, you can mow down a Joe. So those are definitely the things that are going to be happening. And but this city, this city has a lot of fog in it. Maybe it's because of all of these vents and shit like this. This right here is really, it's not good whatsoever. And it looks like there's actually an iPad commercial going on right about here. Like, I don't, especially in times of war, you can't have distractions like this, because not only does it screw over your unit production, but it's an eye pistol. What are you gonna do? Listen to Jenny's got a gun when Jenny really does have a gun? You can't be dealing with shit like this, And when you have Calvin clones over here, it's like all man, one man, no man. Calvin clones, I remember back in my day when that shit used to actually be a gene company. But who would have saw that coming, right? Singularity Travel Agency. Especially an intergalactic one. I wonder how busy they get. You have to learn a lot of languages, This is a little bit more than just, English and French here, folks. We're talking about dealing with zealots and, like a ruthless alien race that just not only just dominates the crystals, but, like they have a massive advantage over everybody, But anyway, it appears that there are a lot of light blue guys that blue actually can't see whatsoever, and so maybe at this point he starts to realize that, oh shit, these guys are invisible indeed. And the only way you can actually counter that is to have an observer unit. Now, you can't have an observer player, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes here, Tom. And to be able to have that observer and stuff like that, which is this little guy right here, he doesn't do anything. He just hangs out, he watches, he just, just slaps dick in the background. But it looks like blue is not gonna be doing anything against this whole Dark Templar idea. Because while these guys are just sitting here tearing his army apart, he can't really... Oh, he is doing a lot about that, so... So that is definitely a good sign there. That is a very good sign. And now there is a warp prism coming in, and maybe, I don't know what he's going to be trying to pulling here, but he just lost his entire army, and unless blue goes and tries to counterattack, he is going to be fucked, is how the French say, I believe. And I believe that means screwed over. So for any type of unit production right now, you know, this guy is just in a whole world of trouble. Because these crystals are starting to fade out, yes, but it looks like red has gone rogue, and he is trying to lay the smack down on a hoe. And he doesn't have a whole lot of units right now, but, you know, if blue had that vision, if he had that map control, he would be able to tell when would be a good time to auto attack. And, you know, maybe it's just time that he doesn't try to mess with the woman's intuition anymore, you know? Like he's grabbing an immortal. Okay, now an immortal is a phenomenal unit to be able to have with at your disposal. Because immortals, well, I guess it all says it in the name. They do not die whatsoever. Nothing can counter them. Nothing can be done about them. All they do is they shoot things, and they have a big face, and they have 2 cannons for arms. You know, it's just like, it's units like this, you know, you just can't fuck around with. And I think that for sure is definitely why blue is almost a little hesitant to attack, because of the fact that he is going to be waiting for his immortals to come and just take the chastity belt off and just start fucking up red completely. So it looks like he's you know, starting to slap a little ass dick here, but he still only has 3 defensive units, and a Dark Templar. Not to mention his photon cannons are gonna be a little bit good, but he is throwing up pylons. Good, he is throwing up the pylons to be able to tell drivers not to crash into the nexus, because that nexus is incredibly important for red's production rates, and it is incredibly needed. Now it looks like this warp prism right here is just spinning around the ballerina, and there are 4 Dark Templars actually coming in right now, and that is a very bad sign, because not only are those units invisible, but that warp prism is starting to fuck off. And so when that probe dies, blue starts to realize, you know, maybe things are going a little bit wrong. So he's going to be bringing in his entire army to attack 4 guys. Now, if you want to talk about going balls deep, I would say that is a textbook definition of it. So now the question for blue really is, when is he going to counterattack? Because personally, I am tired of this collective guy playing like a pussy. You know, he really needs to man the fuck up and just start to attack his base, because, you know, maybe he just can't tell, but this guy is starting to build immortals too, and yeah, it's not a very good idea. That is not something you want, but I don't know. We're definitely gonna have to see how this all plays out, you know. But you know, so this warp prism, you know, it's just hanging out. Looks like it almost landed on top of this building, where there is yet again this commercial, my favorite commercial. And this commercial over here, you know, is playing also over here. You know what I am saying, dog? You know what I am saying. So now it looks like the good news is, on the bright side of all of this here, we have this mineral field. There are only 2 left, you know, because they were coming at this guy full force in the very beginning, and they were, you know, being completely relentless. They were going after the wives, women, and children, raping and pillaging everything. And now the fact that there is a robotics facility and there's one last immortal coming, you know, he already has 2. I mean, fuck, how greedy can a man get? You know, especially without waiting for that last immortal. In my opinion, that is a huge mistake to make, Missy. But it looks like he's gonna be laying a smackdown up upon this hoe, and seems to be a very good idea, a textbook definition, if you will, of a solid time to be able to go and attack. Because not only is red fucked, he has next to no expansions. He has quite literally 0 units. I mean, these stalkers right here, they don't really count, you know. He's Dark Templar, no one can see him, and, you know, like, out of sight, out of mind, that sort of concept. But these immortals, man, they are gonna do some severe damage, and especially with that hardened shield, you know. It's like they took some serious training from Metapod, and they were up in the Shaolin Hill for months and months and months at a time. Alright, so it looks like blue is maybe going to be able to come up and just decimate and shatter red's world, but he's going to be coming across first this very expansion, so maybe he can start to take out those pylons, completely disregarding every single road traffic safety violation, you know. But it looks like red has these flying things, void rays is as they are calling them in the Blizzard universe, you know. And I don't necessarily know how this is going to turn down, but it does not look very promising whatsoever for red, you know. It is just a shame, just an absolute shame, you know. War, it brings out the very worst in everybody. And I am quite ashamed here. Because, you know, like, these probes, they are running for their lives. They are just minimum wage slaves, seeing what they can do to survive. But it looks like red is just having absolutely none of it, and there is nothing he can do. He is calling the GG, which must be some sort of war call there, like admitting defeat, you know. And he has left the game. Leaving blue with a huge victory, and we have Rob over here. Rob and his family, you know, they can start to be living a healthy life. And it looks like blue collective actually did have a bunch of Dark Templars coming up this way. So he would have been able to wrap it around from the top of the bush, and occasionally he would have dropped in and stopped the push, which blue or red, Mr. Celt over here, could not suffice to do. Yeah. Fuck yeah, nailed it.